Welcome back to Be Human Period. This next video is about a few traitors to God and country and the Anderson connection to the Fichters and the Bates. Anyway, this is a very violent and graphic video. Please do not watch if you are a child. Anyway, after the Trump rally and the people that the Proud Boys that kicked me in the head in 2020 in Bakersfield, I lost a lot of blood and had to go to the hospital to get staples in my head, and there was wounds up and down my legs. I sat in the hospital for hours just to get a drink of water. I had to flush. I had to try to drink out of the eye flushing station, flooded the hospital room. Then they moved me to another room, and they still wouldn't give me water, so I had to go drink out of the faucet, and they're telling me to don't drink out of the faucet. And I just raised hell for hours. I was like, call 911, call the sergeant, because the sergeant took me away from an active crime scene where he saw the Proud Boys killing me in the street after I literally hurt nobody. There was no evidence, no pictures, no scratches, no bruises. They just believed a lie, some hearsay, and not the actual crime that was in front of their face. They took me away from the scene of a crime. There was no investigation done on the Proud Boys or the Trump people. And anyway, so after hours of suffering in the hospital with no pain medication, no water, no food, lost a ton of blood, they put a bunch of staples in my head, and I was in and out of consciousness for a while. And I finally gained enough consciousness. I got the strength together to decide to run out of the hospital to go seek help for my condition. So I went to the neighborhood across the street, started knocking on doors frantically. Nobody answered. I knocked on a ton of doors. And then finally, this one college student, Bakersfield college student, opened the door, and I was like, thank God. And then there was this carport we were standing under, and there was helicopters starting to fly up and down the street, probably because people were calling the cops, because I was knocking on so many doors, and there was sheriff people driving up and down the street. So I sat in front of the car, parked in the garage under the carport, watching the sheriff's vehicles drive by. I had to pull out the needle in my arm that they never hooked up an IV to, and that made more blood go everywhere, and my shirt was covered in blood. And this college student gave me her university Bakersfield hoodie, and I love that college in Bakersfield. A lot of nice kids there. I did a lot of petitioning there, but that was really nice. So I got out of all the blood, and she gave me some water, food, pain medication, and I was like, I need a ride to my aunt and uncle's house. I got to get out of here. And she was calling her friends. None of them were coming. And then she was like, I'm going to call you an Uber. We'll get you out of here. And I was like, oh, great. Well, the Uber was taking long, and then her parents came back home, and they found us, and the dad was like, stay right here. Her mom took her daughter down to the street, and I was telling him how I need a ride home to my aunt and uncle's house. And they probably saw the news, and the dad was like, oh, don't worry, we're going to get you a ride home. Don't you worry. I was like, yeah, screw this. So I started running again, hopped the fence, went through a back alley, and started knocking on doors again to seek shelter. And no one's opened the door, and that was all the energy I had left because of the blood loss and everything. So I just knocked on this one door, knock. Nobody ever came, until a flashlight was coming around the corner. I knew it was going to be a sheriff. And so he came around the corner, and I was like, oh, you found me. And he was kind of startled, and I explained to him I just got out of the hospital. I was very ill, and I needed a ride home to my aunt and uncle's house, Cal and Susie, Fikter, where Cali Fikter lived, their daughter, and Kayla Fikter, ex-wife of Bates, 7 Bates, and then 2 children and 5 dogs, and Ron, Kayla's boyfriend, in his small little tiny house. It was a little ridiculous. But anyway, that was at 4201 Alexander Street, Bakersfield, California, 93307. That was my home address, where my vehicle was registered and where my mail came. So anyway, I told the sheriff, my cousin Christopher Fikter, he works for the Kern County Sheriff's Department. He does all your computer programming software, keeps your computers running, fingerprint scanners, and they're like, oh, yeah, we know that guy. So anyway, I told him, they agreed to give me a ride home, and then all the sheriffs that were going through the neighborhood were having like a little powwow, and I was like half dead in the back seat, like, from loss of blood. I'm like, come on, I'm just sitting there, they're just chatting and whatever they were doing. I started stomping on the floor to try to get attention so we could get going. So the sheriff came back, we got in the car. It was a 30-minute ride to my uncle's house. We get to my uncle's house, and I knocked on the door. I wanted pain medication and food and water, and they chased me off their front steps, and literally, they, no, wait a minute, they didn't chase, I didn't even get out of the cop car. Sorry, that was the next day. Sorry about that, folks. No, I was handcuffed back in the back of the sheriff's car, and I was, the sheriff went, and he went out and talked to Cal and Cali and everybody, and they kept talking, and I started yelling at Cal through the window that I needed help, I needed food and stuff like that, and Cal and Cali basically convinced the sheriff that I was mentally ill. They watched the news. They said that guy should be in jail or the hospital. They sided with the Proud Boys and the Trump people and the police in the conspiracy. And the sheriff came back in the car, and he was like, where else do you want to go? Because they're not going to let you be here. I said, I don't care. Take me to the gas station up the street. That'll be fine. And so he was going to take me to the gas station up the street, but my uncle had called the mental health services because they said I was mentally ill and suicidal or whatever. So the mental health services came out, interviewed me, and determined I wasn't going to kill myself or anybody. I was doing okay. And she actually just offhand called the Bakersfield police and made the report, and she found out there were 2 warrants out for my arrest for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So then I was really screwed. I was no longer going to be able to get help. And so I had to wait in the back of a sheriff's car for over an hour, passing in and out of consciousness because the cops never show up in Bakersfield. And then, in my uncle's neighborhood, and, handcuffed, I needed to be in the hospital. And the cops came and got me, and then I went to jail, went to solitary confinement, ended up bailing myself out of jail the same day. I got out for I think it was like an $80,000 bond, got out for $8,000. And basically, right after jail, I went to my aunt and uncle's house and was trying to find some food and water and some pain medication. Went and knocked on their door, and Cal and Cali came out. They chased me out the property. I started causing a scene. They weren't going to let me have my speakers or anything back, my canopy and all the other stuff at the Trump rally that I was doing the fundraiser with, in the park. So anyway, they were trying to, and 7 Bates was there too. I don't know why 7 Bates was there. Kayla Fikter got rid of him a long time ago because he was an abusive person, narcissistic sociopath. He abused his children. It was a horrible thing. His wife, he abused her. She's disabled from severe anxiety, and she suffered abuse for many years. He didn't pay child support. He didn't keep him in a house after they split up. She ended up losing her house that she lived in for many, many years. Had to sell all of her stuff in a yard sale. And, I was there at that yard sale. I helped them sell all their stuff for days. It was very sad. And anyway, Seven Bates was one of the first people who was threatening violence on me. And they call him Seven for 700 pounds because basically that's what he weighs, is 700 pounds. I mean, enormous dude. I mean, very scary. You never want to confront this guy. And so anyway, Seven was there in my face threatening me, and I was causing a scene, and then all the neighbors came out, and they were all going to beat me up, and I said, I just screamed, I wanted my stuff, I'm going to get an Uber, I'm going to get out of here. And Jerry Barbie, my witness to all of this stuff, was living in their house because he had nowhere to go. He got kicked out of the hotel I bought for him. And they gave me back what they wanted to give me back. I put it in the Uber, went to the hotel, Holiday Inn and Suites on the edge of town. It was a really nice one, and I had one more hotel night there. I got there, and they said, due to everything, they canceled my stay, and I was trespassed from the property. And I was like, well, all my stuff is in the room, my laptop and all this stuff. And they're like, well, come back and get it in the morning. And I was like, screw you guys. And so basically, I took what I got out of the taxi, pretend like I was leaving, went into the bathroom, barricaded myself in the bathroom, and, slept there all night until morning, till I could get all my stuff out of the hotel room. And then I had to go all around town the next day to get my Tahoe my police Tahoe out of impound, and find my wallet and all my other stuff, which wasn't in police evidence. It was still at the hospital for some odd reason. And it was like a whole investigation to get all that stuff done. And then that's basically what I suffered. So anyway, the worst part about it is I was living with Christopher Fikter up in Tehachapi at 913 Cathy Lane in Tehachapi, and with all his kids and Perla and all that stuff. And because there was too many kids down in the Alexander Street address because of Seven Bates. He didn't keep Kayla in her house. So there's 5 dogs, and Kayla and their 2 kids, and Cali and Ron Ferguson and Sue and Cal. I mean, it was a mess, and their house is it's horrible living conditions. And so after I got all my stuff, I was still seeking somewhere to go. I gave Christopher a call. He said, no, sorry buddy, and he hung up the phone. And I told him he was going to regret it one day, because he's a traitor to God and country as well. They all are. I never did anything to my family. The Fichters, all I did was pay rent there for a long time. Cal even said I didn't have to pay rent to sleep on the couch, but I did anyway. Cali got a petitioning job. I trained her. Her boyfriend got a petitioning job from me. Jerry Barbie got a petitioning job. And I had David Bruce invited there because he was trying to get away from his drug addiction in Maine. So I had him out there working. So I was helping out a lot of people. And, doing the fundraiser also for my aunt and uncle. And trying to do so much stuff. Never caused the Fichters any problems. And I was always peaceful, just worked my ass off, didn't say much to any of them. The only one I ever talked to was Cal, and I considered him more my father than my real father. But he's dead now. But in the end, he kicked me out of my residence there, just like my own dad's kicked me out many, many, many times at my residence in Georgia. I mean, the thing is, since I was registered that address in Bakersfield, I could have caused a scene and a protest until the cops showed up and told them they were trying to kick me out, and they had no right to do that. And Cal said, well, if you stay, then you're going to get beat up, boy. And the Bakersfield cops don't show up, and the neighborhood already tried to attack me after almost being killed the day before. So, I just abandoned hope on all that stuff. My whole family abandoned me. They believed in the Proud Boys and the Trump people and the police and the news. They're all part of the conspiracy. I mean, it's sad. I mean, I never even had any arguments in any of their homes. Not even the slightest sign of mental illness, which is all they say now. Oh, Aaron's mentally ill. He needs help. But, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Cali, Fikter, and Ron Ferguson and Jerry Barbie ended up stealing $3,000 worth of stuff I had bought to do fundraising with. And they sold it while I was in solitary confinement up in Butte County for that wooden stick felony. $1.5 million. They sold it. They sold all $3,000 worth. And Jerry Barbie admitted this to me. And for longest time, Jerry was saying he was going to repay me for all the stolen merchandise, But, I mean, Ron Ferguson and Cali were really the true culprits, because Jerry Barbie's very mentally ill, and he is an alcoholic. He was just trying to, get off the streets. But the whole Fikter family benefited from me giving them petition jobs and my $3,000 worth of stuff and the rent I paid, and all I got was kicked out of their house while I was half dead, and they all threatened to beat me up. And Seven Bates is like the most evil of all of them for the child abuse and abusing his disabled wife, Kayla Fikter. So, I don't know, maybe if you know any of these people, you should probably give them a call. I mean, Christopher Fikter, I think he's now retired from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. He was there over 20 years. And this is law enforcement. And I've contacted Brenda Anderson, and which is my Aunt Susie's sister, Susie Fikter, to try to get Brenda Anderson to tell, Cali that she needs to do the right thing. And I tried to contact Chris to tell Cali she needs to give me the $3,000. I shouldn't have to sue her. It's wrong. They robbed me. No one will admit to them robbing me and selling my stuff. And Brenda won't even call them out on it. And Chris won't even talk to me to save his 20-year reputation at the Kern County Sheriff's Department. Not even one phone call. And then their children are all basically uneducated degenerates that just sit around playing magic card games and weird Dungeon and Dragon card games. Like they basically never grew up. They basically didn't go to college. They never had responsibilities around the Christopher Fikter household. They barely got minimum wage jobs. They couldn't afford to get cars. I mean, all of Pearlie's kids, they're not responsible. I tried to reach out to the kids, Junior and the one more of them, but all they said was I was mentally ill and brain damaged and violent and dangerous and blah blah blah. And I even sent them my testimonies and stuff, and I have all their text messages. I think I uploaded them to my Facebook. I mean, they're all just evil, degenerate. I mean, they're literally the examples of the breakdown of our society and the family structure. I mean, if you don't care about your family, and they don't. None of the Andersons, none of the Fichters, everyone is just on their own little path. No community, no family. Nobody will stand up for what's right. So, anyway, folks, don't forget, be human, period. Like and subscribe. Share it to your friends and family members. We want everyone to understand this is not the way to be human, period. Thank you so much for watching.